The first time I tried to use a Disney crowd calendar, I closed my laptop about 4 minutes in and just picked the dates I liked. There were so many versions online. I wasn't sure which ones to trust. There were colors, there were numbers, there were charts that looked like I needed an engineering degree just to pick my vacation dates. And all I was trying to do was plan a vacation. Here's the thing though, once somebody explained it to me, it took me about 10 minutes. And it saved us from some genuinely awful crowd situations over the years. So today, that somebody is me, which, considering I gave up after only 4 minutes, should make you feel pretty good. And it's going to take us less than 10 minutes. Let's get into it. I'm Lee with All About the Duck, and this is the honest Disney World talk from two people who have been going for over 30 years. And today we're talking about crowd calendars, what they actually are, how to read them, and most importantly, how to accurately use one when you're planning a real trip. Because pulling up a crowd calendar is easy. Knowing what to do with it, that's where most people get stuck. Let's start with the basics, because I think a lot of people overcomplicate this. A crowd calendar is just a prediction tool. Think of it as the weather forecast. If it says there's a 90% chance of rain, you probably should grab an umbrella. It might stay sunny all day, but you'd rather have the umbrella than not. That's it, an educated guess based on historical data. Disney's own pricing calendar, school schedules, and holidays about how busy each day at Walt Disney World is likely to be. Most of them use a scale. Some use 1 through 10, some use colors like green, yellow, red, some use a combination. The specific system doesn't matter nearly as much as understanding what you're looking at. A low crowd day, a 1, 2, or 3, or whatever green means on the calendar you're using, means the parks are likely to be less busy, shorter waits, more room to breathe, and fewer moments where you wonder if you're standing in line for a ride you didn't even want. More of those moments where you walk right onto something you expected to wait an hour for. A high crowd day, 7, 8, or 9, or red, means the parks are going to be packed. That doesn't mean it's a bad day. It just means you need a better strategy going in. And everything else is in the middle. The middle. Manageable, but worth paying attention to. There are a lot of these out there, but the one we actually use is touring plans. Now, we don't get anything for recommending it. We just think it's one of the better tools out there. It's been around forever. It's based on real data, and there's a free version that's more than enough for you to get started. Link is in the description. That's the whole system. You were expecting something more complicated, weren't you? Here's something that took me a long time to really internalize after all these trips. The single biggest variable in how much you enjoy a Disney day isn't the park you pick. It isn't the lightning lane. It isn't even rope drop, though it helps. It's the date. Pick the wrong week, and it almost doesn't matter what else you do right. Pick the right week, and you'll have a trip that feels almost effortless compared to what most people experience. One year before we knew anything about crowd calendars, we planned a trip during our kids' spring break. As our ferry crossed the Seven Seas Lagoon, we could already see the security line was backed up to the bus stops. That's never the welcome you hope for at Disney. Later, after I learned about crowd calendars, I looked back and sure enough, it was a red day. Looking back, we should have started at Epcot instead, and that's exactly why crowd calendars matter. I've also been at Magic Kingdom on green days where we practically walk onto attractions. Same park, same rides, same Mickey, completely different vacation. That's why the crowd calendar isn't just a fun planning tool. It's actually one of the most useful decisions you make before you leave home. So, when should you go? Let me give you an honest version. The best crowd windows, generally speaking, are mid January through early February, after the holiday rush clears and before President Day spikes. Then again in late August and early September after most schools are back in session, but before fall break crowds arrive. And late September through mid November is generally one of the best kept secrets at Disney World, especially once you get past Columbus Day weekend. That fall window is when we go if we could help it. For years, when our kids were younger, we'd pull them out of school for a week because we loved visiting that during that time of year. The weather is starting to get reasonable. Epcot Food and Wine Festival is running. Halloween party season is wrapping up, and the crowds are just manageable. It's a different park than the one people experience in July. July is less vacation and more survivor, except your immunity idol is a Mickey bar. The worst crowd windows, and you probably already know some of these, are spring break, which runs in waves from mid March through mid April, depending on where your school system falls. Then summer, especially late June and all of July, which is consistently among the highest crowd periods of the year. Thanksgiving week and Christmas through New Year's, which is its own category on its own. Christmas at Disney is genuinely magical experience. It is also unbelievably crowded. We went one year during Christmas, and there were times in Magic Kingdom when I felt like I was in a mosh pit. I wasn't deciding where to go. The crowd was making that decision for me. Trying to get on a ride felt almost impossible. Now, don't let me scare you away because Christmas at Disney World is absolutely incredible. But if you go that week, go knowing exactly what you're walking into and plan accordingly. A crowd calendar isn't going to magically turn Christmas week into a low vacation crowd. That's where strategy comes. Okay, so you found a crowd calendar. There are several good ones out there. Here's how you actually use it. Step one, start with your travel window, not your ideal dates. Most people have a window, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, where they could realistically travel. Pull up the crowd calendar for the entire window first before you fall in love with a specific date. Step two, look for valleys, not just averages. Don't just find the lowest week in your window. Look inside that week for individual low days. In almost any given week, there are 1 or 2 days that are noticeably lighter than the rest. Those are the best park days. Plan your hardest parks, your Magic Kingdom, your Hollywood Studios on those lighter days. See these 3 green days right here? Those are gold. That's when I'm scheduling Magic Kingdom every single time if I can. Step three, match parks to crowd levels. On your lighter crowd days, hit parks that are the hardest to navigate when they're packed. Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios feel the impact of crowds more than Epcot and Animal Kingdom. So save your Magic Kingdom visit for a green day if you can. On your heavier crowd days, and every trip usually has at least one, that's when Epcot World Showcase shines. You could spend a beautiful day eating your way around the world without feeling like you're fighting anyone for space. Think of it like grocery shopping. Saturday afternoon and Tuesday morning are technically the same store, but they feel like completely different places. Step four, cross reference with Disney's own pricing. Disney's ticket counter is actually its own crowd predictor. The days Disney charges the most for tickets are the days Disney expects the most people. It's that simple. If the ticket prices spike on a particular date, there's a reason. Disney knows when people want to come. Their pricing tells you a lot before anyone posts a crowd calendar. Here's where I'll be honest with you, because that's what this channel's about. Crowd calendars are predictions, not guarantees. We've had trips where the calendar said low crowds, and the park felt surprisingly busy. We've had the opposite too. Showed up on a day that looked rough on paper and had one of the best days ever. Sometimes Disney just decides to remind you that it's still Disney, and it surprises you in the best way. Weather plays a role, unexpected events. One viral cinnamon roll can apparently rearrange thousands of vacation plans. And believe it or not, I'm not even joking. So use the calendar as a planning tool, not a promise. It shifts your odds significantly in your favor. It does not eliminate the variables. After 100 trips, I'd still rather have the calendar than not have it. It's given us more good days than I could count. So here's the short version if you want to take notes. Find a crowd calendar with a scale you understand. Look at your travel window before you commit to dates. Find the valleys inside the best week. Match your hardest park to the lightest days and cross reference with Disney's own ticket pricing. It tells you more than people realize. That's it. Remember those 4 minutes that made me close my laptop. Hopefully, we saved you from doing the same thing. And if you got a crowd calendar story, a trip that was better or worse than the calendar predicted, drop it in the comment. We read every single one. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And as always, see you real soon.